everyone. This is the Cadet Alvinjan de Humawas, and I am here together with my group members to report the topic given to us by our instructor, which is mooring incidents, assessing common pitfalls, and key challenges. Now, before we proceed, we need to first know our course outcome. So, through the knowledge and understanding of the content, application, and intent of how mooring incidents and how to avoid it. At the end of this session, the students should be able to understand and apply the essential information that this topic can offer. Now, mooring is the key of operation on board, hindering many challenges for crew members involved. In particular, many incidents involving mooring equipment have reported in last years, resulting to injuries and expensive claims. So, in addition, the key to safe and effective mooring operations is planning and ensuring the appropriate procedures are followed. A mooring operations risk assessment should always be carried out. Suitable controls and procedures should be in place to minimize the risk identified for this operation. The use of toolbox talks to discuss the operations and hazards involved is an effective way to help reduce the accidents. It may seem like unnecessary task to undertake, as mooring is a routine operation most crew are very familiar with. However, this is the danger, as familiarity and complacency can lead to a mistake or an accident. So, shortly stating that if we forget or if we don't give an importance of giving a proper procedures in mooring operations, then it could possibly lead into a human error that will lead also to an accident. And as we all know, most of the incidents or the accidents on board are mostly human errors. More specifically, in mooring operations, as they are very, shall I say, if they think they are so familiar with it, since mooring operation is very common, then they will lack its views that they might have or they might be an accident. If we don't know what is mooring operations is a procedure to anchor the ship to a fixed or floating element and keep it connected during loading or unloading operations. Safe mooring must withstand several forces such as wind, the current, the tide, and the waves, and which also states, or we can also see the importance of the strength of the rope and how can it withstand with these external forces, and how the crew managed to secure the ship from berth to berth.
The regulatory requirements for the size, length, and the minimum breaking load of mooring lines should be followed as well. IMO MSC Circular 1175 as relevant to IACS guidelines. The OCIMF or MEG4 is also recommended approach on calculating ship design, MDL, and other relevant parameters. Having chosen the right lines, the next step is to know the exact position of each line on board. A detailed log with position on board should be followed. The OACIMF MEG4 requirements for a detailed line management plan and the mooring equipment register are recommended. The log should include identified position for each line on board, manufacture date of the first use on board, and hours under tension. Levels of a rope inspection. In addition, effective maintenance procedures should be followed. For each rope, the following three levels of inspection takes place. First is deployment inspection. It is conducted on working length of the line, outboard of the tension side of which, during every mooring operation by ship, by ship personnel assigned to specific mooring stations. The working length of the line or outboard of the tension side of which should be inspected for defects which may impair the performance of the line. Second is routine inspection, a full-length line inspection based on visual, external, and internal inspections. Jack lines should to be inspected in accordance with the manufacturer's requirements. This inspection is to be conducted periodically in accordance with company's maintenance, scheduled by trained, qualified, and experienced personnel. Lastly is detailed inspection, a full-length detailed inspection including all internal and external tests conducted by a third party or manufacturer representative to be conducted when the line is near to reach of the end expected service life.
So, in end-for-end policy, all mooring ropes that are fitted on the winches should be rotated periodically as per company's policy, in order to ensure that ropes which are exposed to heavy load conditions are not exposed for extended periods. This practice will increase their service life. Firstly, in order to ensure the continuity, the ropes need to be rotated or is irrespective of whether they have been replaced. Second, if a mooring line during inspection shows signs of damage near the splice or on the splice, it must be reversed in order to use the other side of the rope or wire. And lastly, each line to be reversed end for end only once. The date of the end for end change and the total hours under tension should be marked. So in overall, good planning is key in order to avoid failures after mooring. In this regard, masters should review weather forecast, terminal experience and limits, local environmental conditions in order to decide the berthing approach, number of mooring lines to be used and mooring position, monitoring during stay, a toolbox meeting to provide information to mooring parties is essential as well. Roles and responsibilities of each crew member should be clearly defined. Therefore, an effective communication plan between parties and shore personnel is of utmost importance.
Good day everyone, I am Decadet Abarcas and today I am going to discuss the do's and don'ts to avoid dragging anchor. So we'll have the do's first. Number 1. Use anchor watch function of the ECDIS as a supplement to the GPS anchor alarm. So this is to maintain the safety and security of the ship. Next, know the weather and bear in mind the wind direction, because when an external forces exceeds that of the anchor's holding power, it will drag. Next, be aware in advance, so you have to study the charts, consider the seabed, and check the charted depth. Next, always keep a proper watch keeping. Then next, make the deep draft. Next, use the both thrusters, main engine, and steering to avoid the maneuver. So this is to control the vessel in the area of vicinity. So next, if dragging is inevitable, meaning dili siya mapugngan, let the vessel drag but in a controlled manner. And the next is to deploy more cables. So when a vessel starts to be pressed leeward, inertia increases and more power is required to overcome it. Then next, always inform the master and main engine and call assistance tug. So this is important because at anchorages area, which are exposed to sudden weather change and requiring immediate action to avoid anchor dragging. And next, stop all cargo operations. So this is to avoid accidents while anchoring. So here are the don'ts or the not to do things to avoid anchor dragging. So 1. Never to set the anchor watch on ECDIS without testing it. Never do this because sometimes the anchor may drag something that may not be in control of the crew. Next, never anchor on a lee shore even if the chart has an anchor symbol on it. Next, never forget to double check if there will be sufficient chain for high water. So we must always check if the chains are sufficient for high water. Next, never underestimate the importance of extra lookout. So never underestimate and always have an extra lookout because they are the ones to report. Next, never keep a close distance from other anchored ships. Never keep a close distance because external forces may be strong and your vessel and other vessels can't resist. Vessels may collide. So never to override the anchor. Do not override the anchor, especially in shallow waters, as the vessel may impact the anchor during pitching. If the scenario permits, let the vessel drag in a controlled manner. And next, do so when you know oil, gas, and gas operations are being carried out in the vicinity. And then next, never drop a second anchor unless the ship is small. Next, never forget to alert VTS and other vessels nearby of the condition. So VTS stands for Vessel Traffic Service. And next, the last and next, is to never maintain cargo barges.